When it comes to a test of strength, there's no sport as extreme and suited to that like powerlifting. The sport is made up of 3 attempts at maximal weight on 3 lifts: the bench press, the deadlift, and the squat. There have been doubts and misperceptions about the beginnings and origins of powerlifting. The recent conflict surrounding the sport has not done much to clear the existing doubts. The deadlift is the oldest of the 3 lifts. It has been a pet lift of the professional strongman Herman Goer of South Africa in the 1920s. It was originally used as an assistance exercise before Bob Peoples of the United States matched Goer's level in the 1950s. Squatting first became popular thanks to Marcus Alfred Pallavicini. Its popularity grew when it was famously performed by 2 pro strongman wrestlers, Milo Steinborn and Bert Asarati, in the 1930s and the 1940s. The weightlifting world didn't hear of squatting again until the arrival of Doug Hepburn from Canada and Paul Anderson of the United States in the 1950s, when 272.5 kilograms or 600-pound squats were performed. The bench press became a well-known exercise in the late 1940s. It is possible it was used in the rehabilitation of injured soldiers in the Second World War. The spectacular performances of Hepburn and Marvin Eder in the 1950s only increased its popularity. Powerlifting is almost as old as man. It is passed from one generation to another. It is assumed that powerlifting as a sport started sometime in 1948. Several old-time strongmen can be termed powerlifters. Those old-timers include Louis Cry, Herman Goer, Joseph Steinbach, Wilhelm Turk, Carl Swoboda, Warren Lincoln Travis, G.W. Rollindow, Lionel Strongfort, and so on. They were all strongmen that showcased their strength in the past majorly as professionals, so they might make a living from it. Powerlifting can be traced as far back as the Greek and Roman times. The sport, however, seems to stem from the United States and the United Kingdom in the 1950s. The bodies that governed weightlifting in both countries once recognized the several odd lifts for both competition and record purposes. But in the 1950s, while sports strengths were gaining several new followers, Olympic weightlifting was declined in the United States. In 1958, the AAU's National Weightlifting Committee determined to acknowledge the records for odd lifts. Although a national championship was cautiously set for 1959, the first real national meet took place in September 1964. It was held with the backing of the York Barbell Company. Bob Hoffman, the owner of York Barbell, had been against the sport for a long time, so the support of his company was somewhat ironic. Even more ironic is the fact that his company now makes powerlifting equipment to make up for the sales lost on his Olympic-style equipment. Even though odd lifts are now streamlined to its current 3, it used to have a lot more disciplines. What do you think led to the sudden change of heart for Bob Hoffman? You can tell us what you think in the comments section below. Modern powerlifting. In competitions now, the lifts may be performed either equipped or unequipped, also referred to as raw lifting or classic lifting by the IPF. The equipment provided in this context include a supportive bench shirt, briefs, or deadlift or squat suits. Some federations allow knee wraps in the equipment section, only while others allow it in both the equipment and the unequipment section. Other accessories such as weight belts, knee sleeves, wrist wraps, and special footwear can be used without discriminating the equipped and the unequipped lifting. The 3 Olympic lifts were clean and press, snatch in the clean, and finally, jerk. Unfortunately, Olympic lifting did not appeal to everyone, so there were several strongmen around the world who were unable, unsuited, or unwilling to do what was dubbed the Olympic 3. In the late 1950s, Bob Hoffman used his authority in Olympic lifting as well as his Olympic lifting-based magazine, Strength and Health, but his authority was challenged by Joe Weider's organization. As America, as well as Bob Hoffman, began to lose influence in weightlifting, Hoffman decided to fight Wielder's growing power by creating another magazine called Muscular Development, which was focused more on bodybuilding and the growing fascination in odd lift competitions. The first editor of the magazine was the world-renowned John Grimmick. Various bodybuilders used their lifts as strength builders, and this created several individual power lifts. In the 1960s, the various odd lifts phased into specific lifts like the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift, and lifted in that order. In 1964, Bob Hoffman organized the Weightlifting Tournament of America. This became the first United States National Championships, but in 1965, the first named United States National Championships was held. The strongman and powerlifters who set the precedent included Doug Hepburn and Benoit Code of Canada. These two super heavies were capable of lifting huge lifts in the 50s and the 60s. Hepburn was credited with the 580-pound or 264-kilogram bench press and 700-pound or 318-kilogram squat. Cody, on the other hand, had a record of 750-pound or 341-kilogram deadlift. These records have long been broken by several notables such as Paul Anderson and Bob Peoples. In Australia, the prominent early powerlifters in the late 1960s included Bruce White, Ron Medora, and Ray Rigby. The United States powerlifting makes use of the same weight classes as the Olympic lifting. Those classes are 123-pound, 56 kilograms, 132-pound, 60 kilograms, 148 pounds, 67.8 kilograms, 165 pounds, 75 kilograms, 181 pounds, 82.5 kilograms, 198 pounds, 90 kilograms, HWT minus 90 kg plus. In 1967, a new class, 242 pounds or 110 kilograms, was not only added, but contested at the American 1967 Senior National Powerlifting Championships, British Powerlifting. At around the same time, the powerlifting arm of Britain also had its fractions. In the late 1950s, the ruling body in Britain, BAWLA, was only interested in the development of Olympic lifting. This led to a breakaway organization called the Society of Amateur Weightlifters. This organization was formed in order to care for the interest of lifters that were not really interested in Olympic lifting. Powerlifting in the late 1950s in Great Britain was known as the strength set. The strength set was made up of the curl, the bench press, and the squat, performed in that order. It was a test of strength that brought many lifters to the British lifting scene and encouraged them to lift some very credible weights. The early days of the strength set witnessed many battles between Brian McPeak of Belfast, Northern Ireland, and Ron Judge of London, as they both made their best career lifts in 1964. Their totals included 72.5 kilograms in curl, 147.5 kilograms in bench, 231 kilograms in squat, 451.5 total for McPeak, and 70.50 in curl, 136 in bench, 236 kilograms in squat, and a total of 442 kilograms for Judge, both at 69.8 kilogram body weight. Judge later squatted 246 kilograms for a British record. Other notable lifts include lifting from Eddie Kershaw, the first powerlifter to squat 700 pounds, or 317.5 kilograms, Terry Perdue, the first to bench 500 pounds, 227 kilograms, and Neil Wheelock, the first to deadlift 700 pounds, or 317.5 kilograms. Bob Memory from Liverpool was also an outstanding mention. He lifted in the 13-stone, 82.5 kilogram class, winning 5 British titles until 1965. In 1966, the Society of Amateur Weightlifters rejoined BAWLA, and, to fall in line with the American lifts, the curl was dropped and replaced with the deadlift. The first British Championship was held in 1966. As both Great Britain and the United States of America were staging national championships, powerlifting was slowly becoming more organized, and that meant the next progressive step was an international. The first international was set between Great Britain and France, and this was in 1968 when a team of 6 French lifters came to Bristol, England. The French, however, did not take part in the deadlift. The following year, a team of 6 British lifters went to Paris for a return match and went home victorious. The Internationals. A series of international contests were held in the late 60s and at the beginning of the 1970s. Though several contests were friendly matches, a Great Britain and United States match was inevitable, and it took place in 1970 when 8 British lifters went to Los Angeles to contest against the American team. The best Great Britain lifter was Ron Collins, who had a record of 365 pounds, 165 kilograms, 550 pounds or 249.5 kilograms, 635 pounds, 288 kilograms, for a total of 1,550 pounds, or 703 kilograms, at a 75 kilogram body weight. George Friend also made an 819 pound or 371.5 kilogram squat at 242 pounds. 110 kilogram body weight. It came as no surprise to everyone when Bob Hoffman got involved and not only financed but also hosted the entire event. At the same time every year, and to celebrate Bob Hoffman's birthday, an esteemed lifting contest was held as part of Bob Hoffman's birthday party. While there was no such thing as teams, it was decided in 1971 that the Great Britain and United States match would be the World Weightlifting Championships. The lack of teams led to groups, one made up of American lifters, another 4 lifters from Great Britain, and 1 from the West Indies. All the referees were American. On Saturday, the 6th of November 1971 at 10:05 a.m. in York, Pennsylvania, the event took off. Even though the event was majorly made up of American and Great Britain lifters, it was the starting point for the 1972 Worlds in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It was the event that was mostly set as nations against nations, as John Moody commented. You may remember that in the early 1970s, Bob Hoffman, that great American benefactor of the strength sports, used to celebrate his birthday in November each year by inviting teams from outside America to compete against a crack American powerlifting team. The events were always held in the United States of America and were considered the official world championships. However, due to the lack of universally accepted rules and referees qualified in the new sport, few countries appeared for Bob's birthday bash. The International Powerlifting Federation, or IPF. The International Powerlifting Federation was founded in 1972. It was formed following the disputes that occurred due to the second AAU World Championships. Several delegates came together, held a meeting with the aim of founding an organization that would handle the sports worldwide. On that day, Robert Christ, the AAU weightlifting chairman, was elected president, alongside George Foster, Bill Govich, Howard Hamilton, Gilberto Gonzalez, and Peter Fiore were chosen as vice presidents, and Milt McKinney as the general secretary. Despite the good intentions of the new federation, it was clear that a set of clear-cut rules were also needed, as well as standardization and basic procedures. The lack of rules was obvious in the next IPF championships in November of 1973, when 27 lifters of the 43 lifters who were competing were Americans. Also, unlike Britain and other countries that had a 52-kilogram class, America did not. The first Women Championships did not take place until 1980 in Lowell, Massachusetts, USA. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is a brief history of strongmen and powerlifters. The sport has come a long way from what it once was, and is sure to go even further. If you liked the video, why don't you go ahead and click on that like button. You should also subscribe to the channel for many more videos like this. Stay strong and remain classy.